Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by GeneralsJoesReborn.com, with me as your host, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostic 80. For today's episode, I'm all on my own. In this regular video series, I round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, me?
It's the Full Force Weekly. Hello, guys. How you doing? Pat was supposed to be on today, but I think at the last minute plans may have changed. So it's no, sorry and everything, but it's just I'm going to be solo today. So it's a bit of a, I know it's a bit of a bait and switch if you've read the blurb for the episode. Yeah, it's just I think he just needs some rest. Let's face it. Anyway, so shout out to Pat. We'll have him on next week, hopefully. Lots of stuff to get through today. I have kind of minimized it a little bit because I didn't want to kind of reiterate some things that we covered during the week in quite a lot of detail, honestly. But there are a few things I wanted to discuss again with you guys. And so effectively, we've got so much to talk about with PulseCon as well. So I thought I would kind of minimize some of the stuff we've discussed over the week. But yeah, we'll get to it then, I guess. Hope everyone's doing well in the chat. Lots of you already. Got a few comments in there already. A lot of talk about the fact that Order isn't the right body type as a German Shepherd. What else have we got in here? We'll talk about that eventually, I guess, in this episode. No hearing protection for heavy duty. There is. He's got headphones like me. Anyway, we'll get into all that. That's obviously going to be quite important to talk about because we didn't get to talk about that with Justin yesterday. So let's get stuck in then, guys. Starting off then with a few little stories that cropped up in the week, including that really interesting Loyal Subjects M.A.S.K news. Yes, we had Hiya news in the week. We had M.A.S.K news from the Loyal Subjects. We had obviously the Haslab was record breaking, and we had more leaks. Now I've cut out all the leak images. We're not going to be discussing all those because we kind of went into those in massive detail. Most of them seem to be answered to this point. And we will get obviously to all of the heavy duty and Law and Order stuff towards the end of the show because we've got a lot more to discuss beforehand. So we'll start with the Loyal Subjects and M.A.S.K. I did want to talk to Pat about this, so we'll probably talk about this again next week when he's on. But yeah, 100%. Excuse me, 100%. I think this is something I want to speak to Pat about, but we'll get into it because again, it's important. Now, the Loyal Subjects, of course, they took on a bunch of Hasbro sort of periphery brands, didn't they? Like My Pet Monster, oh my goodness, ROM, Gem, M.A.S.K, a couple of others as well. And because of that, we're going to be getting like toys and lines from the Loyal Subjects, who I've heard there's a lot of chat regarding the Loyal Subjects, but from what I've experienced, they don't make bad stuff, but a lot of people have issues with some quality control and all this kind of stuff and issues like that. But I personally, I don't think it's going to be, I think it might be a positive move, this. And I think it's a good way to get certain stuff out there that isn't going to be done by Hasbro, and Hasbro can still reap the benefits by licensing it out, which they seem to have done on a massive scale very recently. A lot of licensing things out, because it's clear that they can make money that way without the kind of risk involved in the development and production of actual product. So obviously they can kind of give it to someone else to do. They can take all that on, and then Hasbro can reap the rewards of a royalties kind of situation. Now, with M.A.S.K, I think it's one of those ones that does definitely teeter on is it big enough to be super successful? I should have worn my M.A.S.K hat, shouldn't I? Is it big enough to be? I'll just do it now while on the stream. There we go. I don't look like an idiot either, do I? but like, is it worth doing on like the grand scheme of things? And I think that is a conversation that will be answered here with the loyal subjects. There's so many brands have kind of been like, oh, that's cool, they're going to redo these. And whether it's an issue of with getting it right, or if it's an issue of the demand actually just isn't there, is hard to say. Because I think there have been times when certain brands have been done really well and they haven't really gone anywhere. So I think it's one of those things where there's a possibility here where M.A.S.K is massive for us and very nostalgic. Absolutely. Double hat it. Very nostalgic. Absolutely. And obviously, connects very closely with G.I. Joe, with Transformers, with ROM, with all the kind of combined universe stuff from a few years back. But is it genuinely big enough? Like, I don't think it probably isn't. Looking at how Hasbro have dealt with this, I feel like they don't have the confidence to pull it off, Kitty said. But that isn't to say that it isn't, like, I feel like there is a decent audience for it. But you have to look at it like this. First of all, there's you open it out to, like, right, the collecting community, right, in general, people that are going to buy toys, or actually, make it more vague than that. We'll start here with fans or people that remember M.A.S.K, right? Then you've got to cut that down to, like, not hardcore fans, but fans that will buy product. Cuts it down immediately. Then it's like, okay, fans that like M.A.S.K who will buy product and not, it's not just chatter on the internet, who will actually buy the product when it comes out. That cuts down again. So it's never getting bigger. It's always getting smaller. That when you kind of cut into it. And I still think M.A.S.K is. I would love a M.A.S.K line. I've got a M.A.S.K hat, for goodness sake. I would love a M.A.S.K line. I think it would be awesome just to see it out there. Would I be able to collect it? It depends how good it was. I think if it was something that was like truly awesome, I would probably be all over it. Justin Anderson said Ramen Toy already made 2 1/12 scale generic M.A.S.K vehicles, and the Goldwing or leader car sold out. Yeah, but again, it was like it was made to pre-order. But I would also say on that one, Justin Anderson, like, I would say it was also 1/12, which is really hot right now. This wouldn't be. So what M.A.S.K and the loyal subjects will be doing here, what loyal subjects with M.A.S.K will be doing here is same scale from back in 85. So am I tripping balls, or is Chris's head double stacked? I double stacked it on purpose while I talked about M.A.S.K. It makes me look like kind of evil Lord Mekon or the leader or something, doesn't it? They did actually, Ramen did do a 124, didn't they? They did do a 124, didn't they, Sammy? But that's the thing as well. Like, it's kind of like this third party situation. It's not licensed. And I know they have talked about getting the license, but you usually get the license before you produce something. You don't look to get the license after it's, do you know what I mean? But either way, it looks like it's going to be more difficult for Ramen to get that license now if the loyal subjects have it, obviously. But you never know. Sometimes they can license stuff out if the company is doing a different scale. So we'll have to see on whether that happens or not. But who knows? I don't know the ins and outs, unfortunately, what's going on with that. Thank you, Snell's World, for the super chat. I wish they would upscale it to Ramen Toys Red Gullwing and also like the shattered glass version the best. I do like the thought of 1/12 scale M.A.S.K, I've got to admit, or even just 1/18. I like this. I like the thought of them doing, like the fact we've had 4-inch figures, 3/7, 3 3/4. Well, we've had 4-inch figures. We've had 2 matte trackers, haven't we? In the 25th and in the Revolution set, box set. Was it Revolution? It was Revolution. So I yeah, I like the thought of that, and then obviously having a vehicle of, you know, of size but not too ridiculous, a GI Joe vehicle size basically. So I think that would be phenomenal. Where, and it's a shame that Hasbro couldn't have kind of drip fed us the occasional M.A.S.K sort of release within the GI Joe line. I think that would have been amazing. Do you know what I mean? Just like how, like, I know they kind of sort of did with 2-mat trackers, but you know, a Miles Mayhem in there, but like, you know, with the vehicle would be kind of cool. Or if they did a little subline of GI Joe that was the like M.A.S.K 20, you know, M.A.S.K in the subline of GI Joe would have been really awesome. But it never seemed to happen, which was the same. But thank you, Snell's World, for the super chat. Really appreciate that. RKW says US license only. I heard said for the loyal subjects. Makes sense, I guess. No rigs to Hasbro license. True. I mean, it would be kind of cool as well if they drip fed it into the classified series. Just doing like a classified figure would be really cool. You know, you could easily do Brad Turner. Just saying, easily. You could easily do Brad Turner and Condor easily, or at least like, Brad Turner on his own. But the motorcycle shouldn't be too difficult to deal with there. But anywho, I would say, and it would have to transform as well. The motorcycle would have to transform. Johnny B54 says, Rattler payment question. Of course, my card on file expired in August and forgot to put new card in. I re-entered new card for payment, not charged. Called and the rep said soon. Anyone else have this issue? It sounds like it's been dealt with though, mate. Like they'll probably run it again. I'm sure it won't be an issue. You'd hope so anyway. They want your money, trust me. Jamie Lynn Park says, we are the built-in audience. One of the problems with retro and nostalgia entertainment and toys is the company's not figuring out how to capture the imaginations of new audiences without reinventing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, M.A.S.K, loyal subjects. I'm still excited to see what happens with this. I'm very excited to see what they come up with. Will I get involved with it? I don't know at this stage. Currently, I'm only collecting classified because obviously that is, you know, a little bit more viable and practical rather than collecting everything like I did before. It's easier financially. It's easy in most other scenario, in every other scenario, to just pick something and go with that. You know what I mean? And classified seems to be doing well at the moment, so it's going to keep coming. But yeah, in terms of the M.A.S.K, I tell you, I would be supremely tempted when the loyal subject stuff comes out. I'm very excited to see what's going on here. I was wrong. Ramen Toys didn't make a 1/12 scale M.A.S.K. My bad. I didn't know either, so that's cool. Thanks for clarifying that. But yeah. Anyway. Anywho, that is M.A.S.K and the loyal subjects. Of course, we will probably hear more news about this very soon as time progresses. Also, I know we've seen a gem mock-up, which again, I'm interested in. Don't get me wrong. Like I like gem. I have always liked gem, and I'm interested to see where that's going. So yeah, who knows? I might have gem and M.A.S.K collections to start building from the loyal subjects. And hang on, they've got ROM as well, haven't they? Which is interesting because we've just, like, there's a ROM Marvel Legends coming, which is also something that's piquing my interest in a massive way. I'm very kind of intrigued on all of these like old school previous combined universe properties getting action figures. But we'll be talking about that in a second as well. Anyway, M.A.S.K loyal subjects, there you go. We also had Hiya Toys reveal not just one with Beachhead, but 2 figure previews. Boink, I'll take that off now. With Firefly. Now I did talk about Beachhead quite a lot in the previous news burst, so I'm not going to go into detail here. All I will say is I'm not a massive fan of how the deco turned out. of course, I am a fan of them doing something slightly different with the decos and having, like, you know, him resemble the back of the card, which he didn't as the figure came out. We didn't have the grey elements on the mask or on the forearms, but having seen them in the deck, the way they've kind of gone with the deco, I don't know if it's buzzing my berries, honestly. So I think it's a really cool looking figure, but the deco has, you know, it's really important that the deco nails it, and I don't think they have done. Firefly is in a similar boat, and I think again the Firefly figure is really cool. I really like the design. I love the classified first version, and I love how it looks in Hiya. But the deco for me, I think it's the camouflage pattern, but I don't know what's actually happening there with my eyes that I'm not enjoying here, because it fairly resembles, I believe, the original product image. Beachheads doesn't. Beachheads had way more subtlety, way more, like, I don't know, just like a nice wash on it and nice kind of like deco detailing. This might have the same issue. It might be that they've kind of taken the deco stages back a little bit and just gone with something a little more basic. And I think that's what's happening here, that I'm not really excited for. Bobby B has the Hiya Cobra Commander review up as well. Yes, he does, Jeremy. Go check that out on Bobby B's YouTube channel. And yeah, you can see the Hiya Cobra Commander in full. So I mean, I did say this. I did think we'd get these quite regularly now. We'll be getting these previews every week at least, and they'll start kind of shipping. So obviously, Cobra Commander is now sort of in hand for a lot of people. Beachhead also is going to be making that move pretty soon, and then of course shortly followed by Firefly. And I imagine as well that we'll, again, every week there'll be a new one of these previews, and we'll be getting these figures on a, you know, pretty regular basis. It's quite an interesting release plan, isn't it? It's like 20 odd pre-orders, and then, you know, and reveals, and then we'll start giving you figures. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, RK says, I'm looking at a 4-inch figure with 6-inch eyes. How do you know my eyes are 6 inches? Can you imagine? Probably. I'm probably doing that. Absolutely. It's probably that's actually probably a very fair point. What I think I'm looking at them with, though, RKW, is with their product image eyes, which, again, they're not always going to look exactly like that first product image, but that was where my expectation was, I think. And if they're not really hitting that mark, then for me, there's, you know, it can be disappointing. But yeah, there's probably an element of that too. The thing is, I still like 4-inch figures. I prefer the 6-inch scale because I feel like it's more satisfying in hand, Kitty said. But I definitely would say, you know, I definitely still have 4-inch figures that I really love. But yeah, there's something more substantial and satisfying for me with 6-inch figures, though. In any case, there's Firefly for you from Hiya. And again, it's kind of cool. I do like the fact that if you are a 4-inch collector and you do like what has been happening with the classified series, but you're not, you know, fully there, you're more of a 4-inch collector or more of a 4-inch kind of fan, then it's kind of cool that we've got like classified at 4-inch going on. I'm wondering how long it will take for Blockies to get the Joe license, given how their TF stuff sells. Yes, Robert H. I have actually thought of that too, because I keep seeing those. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Is it Blokies or Blockies? It's probably Blockies, isn't it? But yeah, like I feel like any company could get the G.I. Joe license at this time if they want it. I feel like it's going everywhere. So it wouldn't surprise me if Blocky's got it as well. And again, seeing those Transformers ones, yeah, definitely. I wish the Hiya Toys Viper was the classified design. 100 to 1, says Blitz 0065. Yeah, I do also like that they're doing different things, but yeah, the fact that there's a Viper in the line that isn't 100% vintage, and you could do you could do a higher version of it and it'd be like that kind of classified version. I think, yeah, that would have been kind of cool. But I also like the fact they're doing slightly different things with it, like the Trooper and the Viper, slightly different design cues, different decos, in the fact that Tiger Force Flint is completely different in terms of deco. But yeah, it is blocky. Thank you, Robert H. Right then, the only other thing in this little block segment to talk about then is the Rattler. And of course, that successfully funded. There it is, like absolutely dwarfing everything else in the vehicle line to thus far. Now, again, there was a lot of talk about this being. It's weird, isn't it? I don't understand. I don't understand the online rhetoric when you lay it over the reality of what is happening. I don't always understand how they can be one and the same sometimes, because for what I was reading and what I was seeing, you'd have thought this would have been the biggest fail of a Haslab in the history of the world, and it ended up being the best Haslab results wise for GI Joe ever. So that it just blows my mind a little bit sometimes. I think there's just a lot of passion out there, is what I'll say. I think a lot of people are passionate about this brand, and to the point where they want it perfect. And I think the Classified series really does a great job of, satisfying a lot of people, Kitty said, in terms of what they're churning out, the quality, the characterization, the vehicles now, like everything gets scrutinized to within an absolute minute detail. Hell, we do it. We kind of break things down and go into detail and look at certain things and say this would have been better, or that would have been better, or this could have been improved, or whatever. Not that people would think I did, but it happens. And in terms of like the actual Rattler itself, I think that the vehicle is so utterly amazing looking and cool. That's probably what's taken it over the edge. Wild Weasel's also a good shout in that too. The Baroness figure is an absolute winner, and we get like a Rattler gunner as well, which is really cool. So it's like there's a decent amount of things and figures, but that lack of extra figure seemed to really strike a nerve despite the reality of the situation. And that is that you have a brand team that want to give us everything we want versus a corporation that obviously will be restricting that based on how much it's going to cost. And that is always the reality of the situation. It's always going to be that way. So they're going to go all out to try and get you what you want. Sometimes that isn't always possible. And in this case, it felt like everyone was going to back out of this. It was going to be like the worst thing ever. And it ended up doing 28,096 backers, which again really blows my mind. And I will say, and I've said this 100% since the start of the campaign, I think the patches as a tier was a really bad idea. And not even at the time of it being like everyone's kicking off about it. Obviously, it's a bad idea. If everyone's having a go at it and everyone's really angry and annoyed and what have you, then yeah, you can. It's not like I did it in hindsight. From day one, I was like, I don't think it's a good idea putting them as a tier. And it turned out not to be a good idea putting them as a tier. I think the patches, if they'd have been given as like a, hey, you backed we backed it, we're successful. Guess what? We're going to throw some patches in as like an additional thing. People probably would have still been really angry because they'd have been expecting a figure and like, what's all this garbage? And but at the same time, like that would have been a better take than what they ended up doing, which was putting it at a tier level, which it might have been even more they might have been better off just leaving that tier out completely and just jumping to that next price point, which would have been, I think, or maybe brought the price points down a little bit, just like a couple G's across the thing, maybe. But then I don't know if that's going to knock the balance out again of actually, making it able to be created, because these things are stupidly massive. Now, I would have to say that at 28,096, I was not expecting that. Not at all. I was thinking about halfway through the campaign, I think I said between 22 and 24, but I'm inclined to think it's going to be 22 something. And I said 22 to 24 to give myself a bit more of a range, a bit more kind of a cushion, should we say. And no, it was 28,096 backers. And a lot of that, I think, was once it clicked over the Baroness and we got the Baroness, there were these kind of huge waves. And then it just started moving at a rapid rate. And again, we had that last day spike, which we always get. It's one of those things I think we're always a little tentative to say it's going to happen, but it happens every single time. And even if it's a fail, there is a spike at the end each time, whether it's a good one or a bad one. Oh, I'm sorry. Whether it's a good one or a really good one is the only difference really there. So Justin Anderson says, I just think that there will be a third party, more accurate A10 in the future for a lot less. And I'm thinking even a more accurate F14 in classified scale from Ramen. I mean, maybe, but the Rattler isn't an A10. It's just inspired by one. The Rattler is its own thing, basically at the end of the day, because it's inspired 100% by an A10, but they weren't going to do an A10. It was going to be a Rattler, wasn't it, at the end of the day? Jello Ben says at 28k they could afford another figure. Maybe that's where they need to reevaluate the tier levels. Yes and no. There's a balance, even with something like that. Even if you're adding money on the end of it, and I'll tell you a story on this one. Right, there have been multiple Kickstarters where companies will keep adding and adding and adding and adding as that gets more and more ridiculous, as the price cost, as the money's coming in, and the initial funding goal's been reached and surpassed, and all the stretch goals have been reached. They keep adding to it, right? That is actually not what is supposed to happen, because what they're doing exponentially by adding figures is exponentially raising that price to the point where just a couple grand more isn't going to cover it, because tooling is expensive. Multiple tools are exponentially more expensive. It's real. That's the reality of it. I know. I've worked I work currently in the industry. I know that is the case. And what happens is, even if you go like, well, they did get a little bump at the end, they could have thrown another figure in. That other figure actually exponentially they would need a lot more. Now, I would also argue that point though as well, in that it's Hasbro. Do you know what I mean? They could probably stretch to throw in another figure on there. They 100% probably could. So I think it's one of those things where if you're a smaller company, it's definitely something you really have to be careful of. If you're a Hasbro, you still kind of have to keep that in mind, and they'll do that costing and run those numbers and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, Hasbro are a corporation, and that side of it is going to override the wants and needs of the brand team, the fandom, all that kind of stuff. Because yes, they're going to be looking at it from a purely monetary point of view. But yeah, there's also that thing. Yeah, a lot of people will buy in until all the tiers have been unlocked, and I hear that quite a lot as well, Ryan. If they'd have hit 28k earlier, Scott, yeah, I think that probably would have been more likely, because then they're looking at it being, well, they're going to get a lot more, going forward. If it had kind of just hit all the stretch goals in like a short period of time, and you had all that like days and days and days to kind of wait, then yeah, that makes sense, because it's like, well, we can actually create something else here that will drive more sales and probably get us, like, you know, when they run the numbers, that makes more sense. The fact that it only hit it late on probably has a lot to do with that. But yeah. The Rattler is a Cobra toy line vehicle, not a United States military. Yeah, basically, Eben. Yeah. Snell's World, and thank you again for the super chat, mate. Really appreciate that. Patches are a big deal when I was in the US Navy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the patches. I just think but thank you for the super chat. But I collect them as well. But as a tier, I think it was the issue there. That was really all I was getting at with that one. Anywho, the company notorious for repaints, indeed, Jedi Ben. But that's obviously how they, you know, recoup the tooling costs. Basically, at the end of the day, reuse, repaints, all that kind of good stuff. Ramen is a good bet for doing an A10 and a F14 down the road, though. The fact that they're doing like bridge layers and tanks and stuff is mind blowing. And I love that bridge layer. It's so cool. Anyway, yeah, right. I think that's pretty much everything. What I will move on now, because I have talked about this a lot. And there's loads more actually to get into regarding PulseCon. So let's get stuck into that, shall we? Now, I will preface this beforehand by saying that I will 100% agree with a lot of kind of there was a lot of kind of talk on online of PulseCon being a little bit disappointing, and I have to say I was expecting more in terms of like at least the segments. And I know that there was an aim to kind of compress everything into a day, to give each brand like 20 to 30 minutes, which, you know, I kind of feel like that isn't enough time. Like if you are doing and again, I think any other live event, it's fine, totally makes sense. It's all good. It's just like you just drop in like a couple of pre-orders, it's all good, right? But PulseCon, you kind of expect something a little bit more grandiose. And first off, I will say, I think Jordan and Steve, Mr. Steve, and Mr. Stevie, and Dan did a great job hosting everything. Like I had no issues with that. And it was really cool seeing like Corey and Matt and doing the dios and everything for the Dreadnoks in the city and everything. That was really fun. But like in terms of the show, it felt so rushed. And the funny thing is, some of the quality of the product was amazing. It was definitely more about the quality of the items rather than it was quality over quantity in terms of the items, in my opinion, right? But it was definitely the actual kind of show itself was so compressed that it just didn't feel like a comfortable thing to watch, if that makes sense. I like sitting back and just popping PulseCon on and just chilling and enjoying it and soaking it in and all that stuff. And it just felt like the end of the episode where Pat has to go to work and we have to finish really quick. And I'm just kind of going, right, shout outs, shout to them. Right, move on. Thanks very much. Bye. It felt like that. It felt like the shout out segment when Pat has to go to work in 5 minutes. That's what it felt like. And again, I think maybe, will they do that again next year? I don't know. Will they maybe extend it a little bit, kind of give each brand a little bit more time? Maybe after some like feedback, I think possibly so. Now, in terms of the product, friggin' 10 out of 10 for me. Like I was gutted we didn't get to see the renders before we went live. That was annoying. But again, they ran out of time. And I was a little bit kind of, I think it was really just the renders, and the name only reveal was so vague. I mean, it's cool because it gets us talking. It was live RKW, yeah. The whole thing was live, I believe. there were no pre-recorded segments. Apart from like there was one maybe for like there was an element of Dungeons and Dragons that was pre-recorded. It was like a video, wasn't it? It was like a sexy kind of like video thing. But I don't, for the most part, everything was live as heck. But yeah, like it was interesting. And so I just wanted to preface that by saying that I feel like I really wish it just given extra time for each brand, it would have been a lot smoother and a lot better of an experience of watching. And I will say as well, like, but I will say, sorry, on top of that, like I said, the product itself, Dial Tone, Leatherneck, Zandar, and Saw Viper, that is an absolute awesome lineup. Like, that is a really good 4-figure wave. And of course, we knew Stardust was coming. Stardust was really great. I can't wait for that one. I've been like desperate to make sure, like I was so concerned that would be like difficult to get hold of for some reason, to like Pulse would collapse. And I know a lot of people did struggle with that sort of thing, with, you know, trying to purchase things. But yeah, it wasn't the spectacle that we've come to expect from PulseCon, in my opinion. And I also think that a lot of people kind of seem to have the same opinion on that one. But yeah, let's get through it anyway. So we had the pre-show. Now that, I will say, was a letdown. I thought there was going to be some sort of like product like reveal sort of in like thing. Although this was where we were going to see like some reveals rather than like in the show or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it just turned, it was just basically Dan, Steve, and Jordan just chatting away and sitting on the couch, and which was nice. It was pleasant, but it wasn't necessarily anything like mind-blowing. But I will say it was really cool that we got to see that first shot of Rom. Again, I've mentioned that before, but yeah, I do really enjoy you know, seeing the Marvel Legends, especially his ass. Look at that tight, shiny butt. Rom's tight, shiny butt. But yeah, again, he's not going to have that translucent plastic, obviously, on him. That was the first shot when they just inject the mold with whatever they have laying about, just to see what the figure, you know, articulation would look like, what it would feel like, what it would look like, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is really more an experimentation than anything else. But that is a first shot of Rom. Really like that. And I can't wait for that to be out. Then, of course, we got the G.I. Joe panel. So again, I'm cutting a lot out of this because obviously I did a big episode yesterday with Justin. We went live and we just discussed everything pretty much in as much detail as we could, as it was kind of like fresh. So in terms of like the G.I. Joe panel, again, I love B-Mac. I love Lenny, Tony, and Dan. I think they do a great job. I really have to say, though, I miss Emily. I really miss Emily. I think she's also... and no, again, no slight to B-Mac on this, but like Emily has definitely got more of the teacher vibe going on. If they're out of line, she will, you know, drag them straight back and get them back on track. And the thing with B-Mac, at one point, it was really funny that the guys were like yelling and playing with the game, and he's like, "Guys, shut up! I've got to talk now." It was just really funny and quite adorable at the same time. But either way, B-Mac still managed to keep everything going, and unfortunately, though, they ran out of time and couldn't do the blooming digital renders. But they were amazing digital renders, and it's a shame they didn't get to talk about them, because they usually do. They usually, when they have the renders up there, they will talk about some of the figures in kind of a bit more detail. They'll give us a bit more information. So it's a shame we didn't quite get that. And then eventually, you know, we did get them during the day, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. So here are the lads for the Hall of Fame. We had Stan Weston was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Obviously, a legend, a true legend of, you know, G.I. Joe. Probably if not the main reason G.I. Joe exists in any way, shape, or form. Anyway, so you know, it was great that they inducted him into the Hall of Fame. That was really nice, and definitely, yeah, again, like definitely. Well deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. Of course, we've all been voting on the Hall of Fame as well. And I realized as I was talking about this with Justin, just how much I don't think I got anything in there apart from Snake Eyes. So the Action Soldier won the inductee Hall of Fame for the kind of the first GI Joe figures, that first wave of figures back in 64, 66, can't remember now. In any case, Action Soldier got in there, and we had I think I chose the Marine Dress Blues because again, it's really something that is I don't necessarily think it like when you think about it, it's got to be like it's got to be the main ones that get in there. It's got to be the one that is like the most popular or the most, you know, has the most sort of like reach and the most love and all that kind of stuff. I get that so much, but for some reason when I get into these votes, I just pick what I like. And it's not quite what it's asking. It's asking, what do you think deserves to go in the Hall of Fame? And there's me picking Marine Dress Blues. You know, like I'm picking, you know, I want to go with like something really weird and different. I think I chose Tiger Force Tripwire McLeod and Tiger Force Roadblock as the figure of the year for classified because I was being extremely vain. That was it. There was no other answer for that. I was just like, I'm voting for that's got my name on it. I'm voting for that. That was it, right? I don't approach this in the right way. But it doesn't matter at the end of the day because the probably I would say the right ones got in. I didn't even see the Vamp on the list. How annoying is that? Because I think the Vamp is definitely up there for you know, item of the year for sure. And of course, like, so Action Soldier, Snake Eyes got in for 82, but who else? I mean, people were choosing Cobra Commander maybe, but if it wasn't going to be Snake Eyes, I was going to be very surprised because, oh God, obviously it resonates with a lot of people, the 82 lineup, the OGs and all that kind of stuff. It really does. And I get it. I totally understand. But because I was in it, like my first real exposure, my first exposure was early, but like Kitty said, but like 87 was really where it was like, okay, this is it. This is what's happening. Because that was when it became International Heroes in the UK. So for me, it was around that period of time where it was like, okay, this is my Action Force, this is my GI Joe sort of thing, you know. But yeah, it's a difficult one, I think, to kind of like pick a different era and pick something that you don't have a nostalgic connection to, in a sense, which is weird to say because it's funny because like I think like no matter when you collect, if you're like a fan of GI Joe, you pretty much all of it's going to have some sort of nostalgic appeal. Wasn't the vote just for the 82 lineup? Yes, it was. It was just for the 82 lineup. So it was definitely a lot less options to choose from than I think a lot of people are saying. But yeah, it was. I think Snake Eyes was rightly so the winner in that one. Definitely the coolest figure, and of course the Vamp getting in totally makes sense. It's an amazing vehicle, and everyone was really stoked about it. It sold out. It's done a madness basically. Vamp was the proper choice. It was. Then we got the Wrath of Cobra thing. Now, someone had a go at me on the last video. Someone had a real jibe at me being a shill because of this game, and I'm like, huh? Like, okay, like I get if you don't like vintage retro arcade gaming and stuff, fair enough. But I do. It doesn't make me a shill for wanting to play the Wrath of Cobra. There's a lot of other things that make me a shill, but not this. And they did like a fun little PSA. Anyway, to the person that called me a shill for that, go F yourself. And I would write it in a comment, but I can't be bothered to expend the energy. So you're just going to get it vocally. Go F yourself. So we had this little kind of PSA, and then obviously Wrath of Cobra popped up, and then the guys played it. And this was where it was that really funny period of time where B-Mac is trying to talk about he's trying to talk about Skybound comics, and they're all just like yelling in the background basically. It was so funny. And so I just thought it was just hilarious. Where like he's trying to literally curtail everything in, and they're just like yelling. It was the best. And yeah, I will say Wrath of Cobra is one of the most I am most excited about that. So I can't. It's taken so long to come out. I wanted to play it on the Switch where in Q1 of this year, but obviously things changed. They had to go full launch across all platforms. I get it. That's what happens. But I don't know. I'm just like super excited to play this game. And it's been so long in coming for G.I. Joe to get like a vintage retro sort of style. It wasn't funny. It was rubbish, bad content. What, Lawrence? What specifically are you talking about when they were playing the game? I thought it was freaking hilarious, but okay, fair enough. Or are you talking about me? Fair enough in that case. Don't watch. What would make it better would be to play it in an arcade cabinet. Yeah, that would be amazing, actually. Coffee and smokes. But yeah, anyway, you're more than welcome, guys. You're more than welcome to have whatever opinion about something that you want. More than welcome. What I have an issue with is when someone comes at me and makes it personal, and that's what was happening in a comment that happened very recently. So you can, if you're gonna attack me and say something and disparage me and whatever, then expect to get a go F yourself pretty shortly afterwards, right? Have your opinion, it's fine. I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm going to say, oh, no, actually, no, you're wrong. This is an amazing game. I'm saying I like the game. So, I don't know, continue to go F yourself, I guess. And then, so after that, we get Starduster. And here we get the obviously we get the actual product reveal, like up close and personal. We've kind of seen it already, so it wasn't like, you're not kind of like blowing anyone's minds at this point. We've seen it, it's cool, it's great, but it was nice to get a nice close up of the cereal box. And of course there's a little crossword on the back, which is insanity. And I would genuinely like to see what you can actually make out on that crossword. Probably not much. And of course the ingredients as well being so tiny, that was amazing. And then of course we've got product images now, which we didn't have yesterday. I didn't have them in time, really. I think they were actually up there. I just didn't have enough time to get them on the slideshow. But they are pretty fun. So this is done in a certain way where he is filming a commercial for the cereal, which in itself is very meta, isn't it? So I think that's quite fun. And then here we have him munching down on the cereal, which again is another fun. I think that's is that Cobra Commander's hand that they've used as a munching hand, which is, I didn't even think about that. When I saw the, what do you call it? God, I am so sidetracked right now. When you saw the initial product reveal and the figurine package and all of the images, and you saw those Cobra Commander hands, the pointing one and that one, right? I'm like, well, that's weird. That's interesting, kind of addition. Like the point maybe I can get, but like that hand, I don't really understand that one. And when I see this picture, I'm like, oh, I get it now. So it's basically mushing cereal into your face hand, which is brilliant. So that's fun. There's a lot of fun with this one, and again, I've been wanting Starduster since the leak listing kind of creeped out. And again, these shots are great. Matt from Shooting the Galaxy and Corey, of course, at Hasbro do amazing work. So I really want to get Matt on an interview soon. He's got it. He's probably just ghosting me now at this point. And I know a lot of people were having issues trying to pre-order these. Well, all the figures really, but I was very fortunate to be able to kind of get in on Starduster and boom, it was done. So I was happy with that. I thought the kick to the face is harsh, isn't it? But if you're going to steal someone's cereal, that's what's going to happen. Don't come to my photo shoot or my cereal commercial shoot and try and steal my box of cereal. I will kick you in the face. Um, I think they could have taken 30 seconds to explain who Starduster was and the whole serial mail away. Yeah, they could have done if they'd had time, Ryan. I will throw that in there too. Because again, I think Dan wanted to get into that. He was almost like talking about that, and then it was almost, like they had to kind of move on a bit quickly. Chris says the app finally worked nicely yesterday. I had a lot of people messaging me saying, was I having issues with it? Was I having trouble? And actually, no, I had an easy time with it. Cheers. I should do this, shouldn't I? I should turn that around so you see the full force sticker on the thing. Cheers. Anyway. Yeah, so I think I had a lot of people kind of messaging that, but I was using Chrome on a desktop as I always do, and that doesn't seem to be any issues with me. I think PayPal is another thing. If you use PayPal, it usually works fine. It's other things it seems to have glitches and issues with. They really need to sort that out, because I get like 5 messages per pre-order, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I know a lot more people are having issues if I'm getting those messages. And I know that not a lot of people aren't messaging me to tell me they're having trouble because they're trying to fix it or work it out. Felix says, fun is a 3-letter word. We need more fun in life. Yes, we do. Took 56 minutes. What, to sell out or to buy it, Kevin? But yeah, I know a lot of people had issues. I just said that. I put a posting yesterday after I couldn't get any of the figures. I pretty much paid for everything separately from Hasbro Pulse. That's how I ended up getting everything there. Store checkout is horrible. I've heard from numerous people that you have to put your phone number in numerous times, and it's very aggravating. Yeah, that's got to be fixed, hasn't it? That really has to be fixed. Yes, Luke, indeed. And of course, then we move on to the other figures. So then we have Leatherneck to get stuck into. And I've kind of, have I updated the images? I haven't updated the images necessarily. I've just added the back of the cards because there's interesting things to talk about. And I have put the question out to the team regarding the images in the background of said Leatherneck's card back and Dial Tone's card back. And the answer I've had so far is the following. Actually, let's get to that first. So here's Leatherneck. I think this is a pretty like standard solid figure in my opinion here. Like this is, it's exactly what I expect Leatherneck to look like. They've given him some extra additional aspects. They've given him a proper 80s dad haircut. I'm looking at you, David McLeod. I'm looking at you, Dad, on this one. I'm going to send him a picture of this and say, if this isn't you in the RAF circa 80, whenever it was, then I don't know what is. I'm genuinely going to send him that picture. But then obviously, yeah, we got this image. This is the image I wanted to look at. Now, it looks like some sort of like crashed UFO. Now, a lot of people were kind of saying, is it like from the Invaders episode? Is it this? Is it that? This is what Lenny has said. If I remember correctly, it's supposed to be part of the crashed mothership. He's going to ask graphics just to kind of confirm that. But it looks like it's part of the crashed mothership, AKA, obviously the one that didn't make it from Super 7 or the one from the cartoon intro and so on and so forth. So that's what I'm getting so far. Now, obviously, it could change. If you ask graphics and they say something else, then we'll have to find out. But that is the current bit of information I have for you guys. Yeah. Did I notice that Lenny had a Night Force Outback t-shirt on? I certainly did. I also said on the stream quite vigorously that you can expect a Night Force Outback. But yeah, I just rechecked. Star is November 1st. What's that, Chris G? What are you talking about? I didn't see the first thing you mentioned. Sorry. Oh, yeah, okay. So there was a weird thing of it being that this line is apparently the delivery, expected delivery is like October 2025 or something, and that is quite a way off. I don't think it'll be that way off. I think it'll be earlier in the year, obviously. It's either just an error or something else. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be October the 1st. The shooter glasses on Leatherneck are the cherry on the cherry. Yeah, a nice addition, definitely. The only thing I think I've seen complaints about with Leatherneck, well, I've seen a couple of things have been mentioned. Some people say he's not big enough. They think he should have been like the chunkier one from like the 50th anniversary where they used the Roblox body. I'm not 100% convinced either way. He is a big dude though, and he's in the cartoon especially. They made him like quite a hefty size, so maybe. But I don't know. I just think he looks really good. I think he looks like I think it's a good solid figure. That said, there's also an issue going on with the chevrons and the kind of like on not just on his collar but on his shoulder. He's got another patch on the other shoulder, and apparently he's supposed to be an E7 gunnery sergeant. Is that correct? But he's ended up being like an E6 army sergeant or something from the ones they've used. I can't remember the details. It's something like that. But there's a lot of kind of like specific military kind of annoyance going on there with a few people, which again is you're totally entitled to that. I think a number of collectors probably don't always care or don't necessarily pick that out, but when someone does point that kind of stuff out, I kind of do think, yeah, that would have probably been better. Staff sergeant, that's it. Yeah, he's gunnery, but he's wearing staff sergeant. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and the Real American Hero figure was a pretty standard size, absolutely 19JJs. But even so, everything was in a Real American Hero until they started using bigger bucks. But yeah, I think he's fine. I think he's great, and I'm cool with Leatherneck. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a solid one for me. And the product photography usually sells it for me. In these particular shots are great, but that one on the right, there is a possible Easter egg going on, and I don't know what it is. Genuinely don't know what it is. Based on the information we know that's coming, I've looked at this over and over again, and I can't tell who that is. Is it Firefly? Maybe is it like slightly less of a future homage and more of like a, like I don't know. Is it more of like just a they've got another they're just putting another figure in there like that they already have? I don't know. It's likely going to be something for the future that we're not aware of yet. But it's hard to say, isn't it? Snake armor, says Scott. That's a great inside joke. And I will explain to some people that might not know what that joke is. I was claiming ages ago on one of, I think it was Tiger Force Wreckage's card back, box art back render thing. I could have sworn I saw some sort of like shape of a snake armor near the kind of cave entrance. It's not. It was just my mind playing tricks on me. But jokingly enough, we just started seeing snake armor in the background of everything. Obviously, that isn't snake armor, but it's cool. Obviously, one is Saw Viper. Yes, that's pretty obvious. But the other one, I just don't know. I don't know what we're looking at there on the right-hand side, that kind of grey figure. Stygian says Hydro Viper. I don't know how likely that would be. It's not the Millennium Falcon, but I like your thinking there, Luke. Maybe it's Wetsuit and Leatherneck is looking to rescue him. That's not bad, Jeff. That's not a bad shout. I had no problems ordering Starduster. It took me 5 minutes to complete. 5 o'clock West Coast time. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it, says Felix. It's Wild Weasel, says Michael. I don't know. He's not red, so probably not. I keep looking at that as well, Chris. My vote is Wraith. I'm just joking, but who knows? Maybe the Beyonder. That would be cool as hell. But yeah, I don't know. The answer is I don't know, and I don't know if anyone knows. Stinger Driver's a good shout, Brian. Stinger Driver Talib. Yeah, that's a possible. That's a possibility, not a possible. That's a possibility. Shut up, Michael. It's not Iron Grenadier Bats. But that. Oh, actually, no. Joking aside, because obviously that I think that was a joke at my expense again, which is fine. But yeah, it's could be. Not Wetsuit colors unless it's like, yeah, Mission Brazil or something. Chris G thinks it's the Scout. That's not a bad shout either. It's that grey color, isn't it, really? It's either Stinger, the Scout. If it's current, it's a Stinger Scout or it's Firefly. Either way, This one is perplexing me, and they do this on purpose. They always do this on purpose. Did I confirm Twilight Guard bat? Shut up, Ryan. No, I didn't. I thought that didn't see any red, so I was thinking it was something else. I see a brown pony. Oh my god, that's so true. There's a little brown pony there. Steel core being executed. That's dark, but it's possible. It could be a Joe, absolutely. It could be a captured Joe because they don't look armed and they've got their back to the Saw Viper, who's got like almost looks like he's raising his pistol. So yeah, it could very much be like an execution going on, or like a hostage scenario or something. And it is the Saw Viper. They're known for that sort of stuff. Super 7 mothership. All right, it's getting out of hand now. But that's what I think. I don't know what it is, and I can't even begin to speculate because I have no idea. But what is pretty cool, we'll get to it in a second, is what's on the Saw Viper's card back. It's also quite dark too. These shots are great. I think, yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing with Leatherneck, definitely. But we'll move on to Dial Tone. Another absolute banger of a solid figure for me. Like, again, I think this wave just has a lot of heavy hitters, a lot of really good, well executed designs and extra bits and pieces. I think it's really, really cool. And Dial Tone is just on point here. Like, the backpack is awesome. The mic is really cool. I think some people saying they thought it was like an optic that he's looking through. I don't think that's the case. I think it is a microphone. I just think from the angle of the shot, it looks like he's looking through it like a, like a heads-up display or something. But I am almost certain it is a microphone. It's also got the little microphone detail on the inside, so that's not something you look through. That is a a literal mouthpiece. But yeah, the listening device is fun. The phone that clips onto the belt loop, which you can see clearly there, and also clicks into the rifle, as you can see here, is an absolute genius move. That is so much fun. And I love the jokes about him being like, someone's dad with a, the classic belt clip for the phone sort of thing. Brilliant stuff. I genuinely want this for Tiger Force if they are still doing it, which I will talk about in a little while, because I have a feeling that name only reveal is insinuating a theme change for someone like Target, because I feel like the hunt for the mass device is a theme, right? Now, it could be something that they litter within Pulse exclusives and stuff, or it could be something that is, a theme for an exclusive line for like Target, right? And if Target then, they've had Tiger Force and Python Patrol for like 2 and a bit years now, I want to say. It's been it's been a solid couple of years for sure, right? And I feel like that has to probably change at some point, because they're going to refresh it a little bit and do something a little bit different. And I think doing the hunt for the mass device as characters would make a hell of a lot of sense, and it would be a fun theme. It would be something I think a lot of people would want. It would insinuate there would be characters involved that would be either slightly new, different versions of what we already have, of like your Baroness. Baroness is a good shout. That blue and yellow from the repaint of the Pilot Baroness. There's a lot of things to kind of talk about with that, which I should probably hold. I'm going to park that right now and move forward with Dial Tone. I love the little eye thing on there, that little movable electronic eye on his backpack. Lovely touch. And of course, the flip down Atari is just the absolute bomb. I love that. So good. Hey, Travis, your shows have been my commute music to Mattel Toy Fair. Thank you, Chris. Have a great time at Mattel Toy Fair, Travis. That sounds fun. I wish I was with you. I wish I could join you. That would have been fun, actually, to do that. Didn't get an invite though, did I? I'm joking. I'm kidding. Yeah, the Atari 2600 in the backpack is a lovely touch, and it's not, but I bet it is. And yeah, Dial Tone just absolutely superb. Now, he also has on the back of his card Leatherneck in the background, looking at the same downed mothership. I'm just going to call it the mothership until I'm told otherwise. And it makes sense because it's like a little bit more well known than the Invaders spaceship, but it could be the Invaders spaceship. That could be changed, and they could be like, yeah, it's the Invaders, and we just wanted to do a really deep kind of homage on the back of the card. And it's cool because we haven't had one of those for a while. We haven't had like a nice, proper, like, you know, serious homage on the card backs for a while. We have had the odd one here and there, but not like this. This is a really nice callback to something. Like, I want to say, like, the last wave, what do we have? Jinx, I suppose, in the gym makes a lot of sense, like in the movie. That made a lot of sense. It was like a location homage. The Night Creepers had a location homage on the Statue of Liberty as well, technically. General Hawk obviously had a bunch of stuff in the background. The HQ himself, but a future version with his jetpack. The Triple T, the stun, loads of cool stuff has been in there. But like in the last couple of figures, I'm trying to think of them. Yeah, like Doc was just in the desert, but it wasn't like, it was the same like location as, you know, the Grunt and Commando Snake, Desert Commando Snake Eyes and those kind of guys, but it wasn't like necessarily related to Doc. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to think of any others that we've had. I suppose there was the Python Patrol flag that was laid on the ground on the Tripwire and Roadblock card back. But yeah. Oh, and hang on, Roadpick had one, didn't he, very recently, even though we haven't had that in hand necessarily yet. That does have a fun little homage on the back, I'm pretty sure. And I can't remember for the life. Oh, Zorana, the little, you know, kind of like little teddy bear thing for Zorana. Anyway, so I tell a lie. We've had loads of homage, but we haven't had one like this for a while. The Fang is on Stardusters. The Fang is on Stardusters, which is in the same wave, sort of the same period of time as these figures. What are the name of those white robots in the cartoon? White robots, Josh. The only white. Why can't I remember what white robots you're referring to? Oh, you mean, sorry, you mean the snake armor. That'll happen eventually, no doubt about that. Yeah, the snake armor, SNAKE, or escape armor if you're in the UK in the Palatoy era. Anyway, that's Dial Tone. And again, a lot of beautiful product images for Dial Tone. And he just looks so good. Removable beret as well. I think a few people asked me about that. The little phone, the phone's got deco, like little tampo on it as well, which is really great. I can't wait for Dial Tone, man. Cannot wait. And here he is calling in the airstrike and it blowing up. And here he is taking his beret off. I wonder if that explosion's got, well, he's calling an airstrike, but I wonder if that's got anything to do with the mothership as well. I don't know. Anyway, Zandar now. And Zandar continues the theme, obviously, in terms of card backs, which we'll get to in a second. But I have to say, I'm really impressed with what they've done with Zandar. I like that they've made a lot of changes to him, and yet still very much Zandar. He's still got the shoulder pauldrons, but they've just added some extra, like, sexy gold bits and pieces, like demon skulls and cool stuff like that. The dude has definitely got some flair added on this one. The quilted backpack is pretty cool as well. I mean, there's a lot to like on this. The belt knife on the side, loved that. There's also, you know, the tattoo on the arm, which I know Pat would have hated, but we would have been talking about that right now. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. But obviously, the little added addition of that little tattoo. He has got the tattoos on his body as well. That deco is on there, and you can boil, like do the hot water trick, pop the arms and the head off, and you should be able to take that, or maybe just pop the arms off and you should be able to take that and the head. You'll have to take the head off, I guess, to remove the secondary, and you'll be able to, you know, have him as his standard normal, you know, version. So it's nice that they've done that, you know, gone that extra mile with Zandar and given him a neck scar, which is actually really dark. Like, I want to know how that occurred, but it's an interesting one. Maybe did it himself. I don't know, but it's interesting for the character. But yeah, he's got some cool, again, like kind of a lot more gear than his original ever had, which is a nice touch too. And I love that quilted backpack. I think it's awesome. Zartan with the super chat. My brother looks cool AF. What a good looking family. Indeed, Zartan. Indeed. It it is a good looking family. I'm not going to lie. And yeah, Serana. Anyway, anyway, here's Zandar in his package. Have they got the? Is that the instructions have slipped up there in the back? I didn't even notice that before. That's hilarious. I only just noticed that the legal gumph bit is tucked its way up there. That's hilarious. Now on his card back or box art back, we have all of the usual sort of things. There is one ever so slight hint at Zorana in there, and that's her weapon, which is leaning up against the tires. Of course, you've got Road Pig's gear, which is kind of like his shield, which is up against the other tires on the other side. And again, this is the front of the garage where, or the side of the garage, maybe, I don't know how you're looking at it, but where Road Pig in his kind of like angle of image is taken. So we're getting a lot, all the Dreadnoks are kind of in the same vicinity. They're at this gas station, this little hideout, and that's kind of like, you know, what we're seeing. We're also seeing the motorcycle as well. Is this something that we could see in the future? I bloody hope so. I feel like that would really upgrade my Dreadnoks display. To have them on motorcycles would be so cool. Like if they did like an army builder Dreadnok with a motorcycle, I could see that making some semblance of sense, because then people could buy multiples for your whole Dreadnoks. It would be expensive, of course it would be, but the opportunity would be there. Now, should they have brought motorcycles out with each of the main, or at least with the main Dreadnoks, with the three, with like there's three Stooges, Buzzer, Ripper, and Torch? Possibly. But maybe they're thinking about this a little bit differently, and hopefully we get bikes in the future, because I kind of feel like it's the one thing I think everyone expected when it came to classified vehicles, and yet we haven't had yet. It seems weird that that's the case. Not even a repaint of the ground, like of the Ram as the ground assault. You know, surely that would make sense with, like, you know, a Heart Wrencher or a Burnout or someone like that, or a Monkey Wrench. Monkey Wrench as actually not a bad shout, Twisted Kister and 19J Jace, because he obviously is quite synonymous with a motorcycle in the what do you call it, in the, because he blows one up in the Arise Spencer Arise series. So that's a possibility. That'd be great, wouldn't it? But I could also see them not doing that, and Monkey Wrench just be brought out in the same way that we've seen all the other Dreadnoks so far, with the exception of obviously Deluxe Zartan, a Retro Zartan, Figure and Pet Norgahide. Obviously, those aside. Who's Shirley Thatwood? I like that, Chucky Tinderbin. Nice one. I think Amazon sells bikes in classified scale, says Derek. That is a necessity. That is a necessity then. Road Pig needs a big trike bike. He does, Mix and Magnus. In actual fact, have you ever seen Road Pig's what's it called? Oh, I've completely forgotten what it's called now. It's already got a name. It's like a name that's already a G.I. Joe vehicle. I think it's one of Destro's Iron Grenadiers vehicles names. I've completely forgotten off the top of my head now. Anyway, it's a big like zombie truck, like a you know, huge kind of like truck with like spikes all over it, and he drives it in the Action Force monthly that became a European missions issue in the comic story about Outback and Psych Out doing a basically in-field psychiatric evaluation on Outback, and they bump into the Dreadnoks and they have a big fight, and you see Road Pig in this hench vehicle. It's so awesome. In actual fact, Razorback, thank you, John. It is the Razorback is what it's called. If you haven't seen it, go and check out Let's Talk Classified Road Pig. I think I talked about it in there. But yeah, you'll see it. So who's the next Dreadnok? Zanzibar, Heart Wrencher, Thrasher with the Thunder Machine, says Jamie Lynn. I think Monkey Wrench is probably the best shout, honestly. I think Monkey Wrench is a big one that they'll probably do at some point soon. And I think Heart Wrencher was a bait and switch kind of situation. It was a never actually happening situation. But it was like a misunderstanding in the kind of leaked kind of scenario. So I think There's a possibility it could be Heart Wrencher, though. Maybe they changed attack, but I've got a feeling it was just a misunderstanding. Thrasher with the Thunder Machine, I would give all sorts for that. And Zanzibar with his air skiff as well. I think that would be really, really cool. Be really cool. Undertaker's Wrecker truck would work, and it's Ollie's. That's a good shout, Mr. Mad Gus, for Road Pig. I'd love a Dreadnought Thunder Machine. I would love a Dreadnought Thunder Machine so much. And I'd also love it. I was happy with I would have been happy with the Thunder Machine at Haslab level. Give us like all the bells and whistles, and then throw in things like like another figure like that Monkey Wrench, but in the denim with the blonde hair that they got the color wrong on the original box art for him. That'd be great. And call him Spanner. It has to be on the horizon. I agree. It has to be. Zanya has got to be up there. Yeah, definitely. I think that all of the Dreadnoughts are on the table, to be honest. But I think Monkey Wrench is that one that I expect next. Then we've got grape soda cans as well on the. If I haven't covered every single detail, there are grape soda cans and I think a Cold Slither poster in the background. I'm not quite sure. I think it is Cold Slither though. And then of course we have his wonderful product imagery. I can't wait to see that deco on his chest. I cannot wait. I like that the face paint goes down the neck as well. That scar is harsh, but it's a cool little touch. Nice little detail in that one. And I think he looks great with the gear. I think he looks really cool with that. And of course, Zorana's ripped jacket too. Yeah, this is a win for me. And I think Zandar is that one that he's going to be that low key banger as well. Like there's a couple like that in my opinion so far in the line. Figures that kind of come out without like a lot of pomp and ceremony, and they end up kind of like becoming low key faves. Shadow Tracker for me is that figure. Like I think he's great. There's a few more like that though. There's a ton more like that. Just looking at it, like Big Ben is another one. Oddly enough, Marauder Spirit for me. Like I think I'm loving him. Anyway, by the by, I think Zandar's up there. Now, Saw Viper. Let's talk Saw Viper because again, a lot of people have been very angry and vocal about the squad, semi over squad in the S of the Saw. And it's always been that way in terms of G.I. Joe. It's always been a semi-automatic weapon from the vintage era. Now, it may be an error, and absolutely, you're 100% right. We know it's squad automatic weapon. I knew that, believe it or not. But like in these kind of scenarios, I don't necessarily think it makes any difference because it's you do you when it comes to the figures. Do you know what I mean? Just because it's written on the box doesn't really mean anything. But also, like, there have been errors throughout the G.I. Joe line, and I find them actually quite charming that you have these errors. I mean, some of them are more blatantly obvious than others, like, file card mistakes are always fun. The Great Bus Wars, for example, which I only learnt about very recently. And then, of course, there's the the Tiger Force Frostbite, especially in the UK. That card, I think that one is all over the place. It's so bad. Like it's like two words are in the wrong place, and it throws the sentence into this like mad "what is going on here" sort of situation. It's great. But I would say they've played this up as well. They've kind of had a bit of fun with it. They've added an actual saw on the gun, like it's something out of Gears of War, and it can come off as a little extra weapon, like a close combat blooming circular saw thing. Not circular saw, you know what I mean? A motorized saw. The massive error of the original Saw Viper having his 1-to-1 scale, having his 2-upscaled weapon. Yeah, exactly. It's literally the same size as him, isn't it, Mark? It's crazy. Yeah, again, I think he looks great. I like the design. I like the color. This is actually going to be a little bit brighter than this because this is that classic lighting they use for these live events that make all these figures look a lot more muted. But either way, um, yeah, I think it looks amazing, and I think it's a really cool figure. You got, you know, the belt fed the belt coming out of the backpack going into the rifle, which is kind of fun as well. Um, I don't know. I just think it's really cool. And again, he's chunky. He's got a lot of gear on. You can take the helmet and the neck piece off if you don't want them, and it can, you know, have the balaclava look. You know, it's a pretty dope figure in my opinion, and the ski mask thing as well looks so cool. Yeah, I'm down for this one. I think the Saw Vipers are going to be great, and you know, probably sell out as the army builders often tend to do, especially when they're pretty solid ones like this. Um, did I not put the back? I didn't put his card back in this one. Of all the ones not to do, well, thankfully, I do have a little bit of a backup on this one. It's still going to take me a while to mess about with, so I apologize, guys, for this. But isn't that funny when I talk and talk and talk about, like, well, you know, this is really interesting because it's a, you know, a specific thing we need to talk about, and then the one thing I don't put in is the one thing that was going to be the main talking point. Unbelievable. In any case, I think the Saw Viper is pretty solid, and yeah, I'm also doing that thing where I genuinely can't multitask for crap, can I? Oh well, me in a nutshell, Captain Multi can't task. It's gonna be annoying because I'm gonna have the semi-automatic weapon bit on show as well, just for everyone's enjoyment. Anyway, the fun thing about the Saw Viper's card back, which you'll see momentarily in the next 7 hours or so, is that it has a very dark feature incorporated into it. Nearly there. I don't know why it's taking me through this route to do it, but here we go. I think it's that I need to do. Yeah, here we go. Cool. So I fixed it. We're back in the game. Oh no, it's an error and I can't actually add it to the thing. Why not? Oh, that's typical. Apparently there's an issue and it's messed up. Why have you done that to me? Yeah, it won't let me add it. Okay, so in that case, I'm going to have to do something ever so slightly different. I am, yes, 100% talking about the fact that Doc's helmet, Kitty said, is on the Saw Viper's card back. And I'll do a proper close-up of it right there. There it is, look. Doc's helmet. Anyway, quite sad that obviously, you know, it's clearly homaging the Saw Viper's absolute brutal takedown of a bunch of Joes, including Doc. Yeah, that's typical that I can't add the slideshow. Oh no, don't want to do that. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button again. I'm going to try it one more time. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't matter. You've seen what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's not going to work. Brilliant. Thanks. Thank you. Anyway, a little bit dark, that one, a little bit harsh, but there you have it. Also, I've noticed on his ski mask, he's got a little earpiece, hasn't he? Like a little kind of, that's shown off on there. That's something I haven't actually noticed yet until now, which is kind of fun. But obviously it's going to be in every image very clearly. Well, you still can't really see it there. No, maybe I just didn't see it because I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, that's on the actual figure. Yeah, you can kind of see it like the little lump sticking out there on the right-hand side. But anyway, that's pretty cool. And that is the Saw Viper. Is that everything? Yeah, we've got some lovely shots of the Saw Viper as well. Yeah, that is it. That's the Saw Viper. Nice. And then, of course, Lenny, after the fact, posted these images of, let's get his Insta up as well while I'm at it. Why does everything take me so long to do? You ask. Where are you, Lenny? Weather Dominator. There we are. He's Weather Dominator, isn't he? Yeah, so he's posted this saying some of the input for Saw Viper. Again, thanks for tuning into PulseCon today. Not a lot of extra gumph on that. But yeah, he did post these images. Now, this is obviously the kind of the input for the Saw Viper, as you can see. Nice little bit. And then, of course, you've got the kind of color deco version of that. And of course, we've also got a nice close-up of the actual weapon and all of the detachable parts, the pistol up there as well, which actually Justin was talking about yesterday on the show. He couldn't quite make out what the pistol was, and it kind of looked a little bit kind of futuristic. And he's right, it's pretty cool. It looks like RoboCop's bloody pistol. It's not, I know, but it kind of has that vibe. And I like that little, almost that little sight on the top as well was pretty neat too. I like that. I like that a lot. Sorry, Brian, we are actually in the process of a massive behind the scenes update, upgrade sort of thing for HOARDAR. So if you can't install it at the moment, you will be able to very soon. It's just we're having to do a lot of work in like we're doing a massive rebuild of the whole thing. So it's going to take some time. I made an announcement about it a few weeklies back. And I'll talk about it a little bit maybe after the thing, but don't apologies. It should be able to work soon, but we'll communicate that when it happens. Now, there are your four figures, and of course, I'm really drawing this out, aren't I? Let's move on to what we're here for. Yes, there we go. It's these. Now, these are posted by the Hasbro socials, not, as I said in the post earlier, you know, the great Tonino. So sorry for the wrong credit there, but it was the Hasbro socials posted 2 digital renders. We'll start with this absolute amazing. I swear I just heard a mispronunciation of RoboCop. Oh no, I said RoboCop. Did you think I said Robo some other word? I didn't, or I might have done actually. Maybe I did say that. Anyway, heavy duty. We'll start with this one. There's so much to talk about here. One, you would probably not be surprised to hear, I wasn't aware that Metalhead's missiles don't fit in his missile launchers without the blast effects. I haven't checked that yet either on my Metalhead, but apparently the missiles don't go in there. Is that correct? I had no idea. I display him like, what do you call it? Blast effects out, Kitty said. So Rob Ocop. So I didn't know that. I've gone this entire time not knowing that Metalhead's missiles don't go in his missile launchers, and I find that really surprising and odd. What an odd move. So that for me is a real surprise, and I don't get that. Now it looks like they're reusing missiles here from Metalhead. So I'm hoping that the same problem doesn't arise here with heavy duty. They can't do that, can they? I need to cut them to make them fit. I thought they didn't fit. They were too loose. So they don't actually go into the thing at all. So mine fit, says Matthew, except the ones on his backpack. Oh, so the ones on his thighs fit, but the ones on the backpack don't. I'm so confused. I'm gonna have to check mine and just see what you guys are talking about there, because again, I took it out of the package, I put it on with all of the with all of the blast effects, mainly because I didn't want lots of stuff laying around in a box, and then I kind of put it on display, and I thought, oh, fun, brilliant, awesome, and then oh wait, they don't fit. So I hope that isn't the case with this. I'm going to check that after this episode, by the way. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust any of you. I'm just kidding. But that is a shame. What is really cool and quite obvious about this amazing weapon accessory. So first of all, okay, they've kind of they've toned down the desk element, and they've ramped up the kind of mech or like aliens future weapon sort of vibe, which I think is great. Obviously it's not a desk that he has in a vintage version. I think this is a really cool upgrade of what that thing is. And quite clearly, you can take the rocket launchers off there. I mean, they've got a little handle for a trigger guard and a shoulder stand. So obviously they're shoulder piece. So obviously they're removable, and they look really cool. That kind of like they're giving me Arnold Schwarzenegger Commando vibes when she fires it the wrong way around and has to spin it around. And then when he uses it in the big action scene at the end, blowing up buildings like they're made of matchsticks. Check it now on camera, Chris. That's too far away. I can't be bothered. And he's at the back of a bunch of like figures, and it'll be too much of a pain to get him. I'll probably knock everyone over. Do the rocket launchers pave the way for Salvo? Possibly, Scott. He needs mirrors on that thing. He does. Anyway, I love, in actual fact, what they've done with this weapon accessory. And it looks so cool. It's got Aliens vibes to me. And he's always had Aliens vibes to me. He's always had Sergeant Apone vibes to me anyway. So, well, especially the Kenner version, the Kenner Aliens figure version. But this like gear is just phenomenal. The head sculpts look great. I know we saw them kind of leak a while back. One, obviously, hatless. He's got the HUD, the HUD display kind of piece, which possibly could connect, I think, to the headphones that they've given him to obviously protect his ears from those Gatling guns. So that's nice. So he does have some ear protection finally. And yeah, I like the fact that we've got, like, when he's got the gear on, he's got his hat on backwards and he's means business. And when he's just chill and casual, he doesn't have, switch the heads and you've got him without his cap. I'm probably going to display him with the cap for most likely, with the earpiece, with the head-up display, with the weapon accessory, and probably with the blast effects. But that said, this is freaking phenomenal. The actual figure as well, what a beautiful figure. Like, that build is great. The deco on the pants with that kind of like, the triangular neon green elements. Again, it's very, very close to that original figure. I'm down. I'm down for this one. Loving it. Yeah. Someone said heavy duty. Heavy jury? Did I? If you look at the fins of the missiles versus the port on the blast effects in that render, it looks like the missiles won't fit without the blast effects. Yeah, I don't know. The fins look the same size as the chunky bit that attaches to the missile, though. Do you know what I mean? They don't look the same size as the widest part necessarily of the blast effect. Thing is, I don't know. I don't know until we get it in hand or they tell us or whatever. But that's a real shame about Metalhead. Either way, I will check that later. Someone said Heavy Duty has the Bulls logo on his chain because he's from Chicago. Oh my goodness. Has this figure just gone even further into the stratosphere for me? Probably. I'm a Bulls fan. So, and the fact I didn't notice the chain, I did notice the chain actually. I just didn't even think for a millisecond that it meant Chicago. That is genius. That is absolutely genius. And it's a bull, obviously. That's really cool. And yeah, I'm down. And yeah, we can also see that the belt and the what do you call it? The kind of secondary strap with the grenades is exactly what we expected it to be. We did think they were going to be heavy duties when we saw them leaked. And like I said, I was really surprised we didn't get the weapon accessory leaked. And I'm kind of glad we got to see it here in the render as the first the first time seeing it is in this way, and that's really fun for me. Is Heavy Duty named after Dalton, Illinois? Could be. Anyway, amazing stuff. This Heavy Duty is, yeah, this shot to the top of one of my faves already. I know he's going to be a favorite of mine. That is just phenomenal, and he's the deluxe with all that as well. $34.99. Get in there, mate. Get in there. And then, of course, we have our next figure and pet, and it is a quite perfect, in my opinion, Law and Order. A lot of people talking about, like I said, Order, the body not being quite right. I don't know if they've used junkyard or not. I don't know. I'll have to have a look. But I think he looks great. You know, you can kind of get away with a lot with the dogs to some degree. But in any case, I think he looks great. And I like obviously the two different heads, the one with his tongue sticking out and the one angry one, the one like, yeah, I'm about to bite you, mate. And he gets, not only does he get the armor on him, like the gear and everything, but he has goggles. He has dog goggles. That is a great addition. And you can see his ears are going to slot in over that as well. And it's going to just sit on top of his head. Love it. Bloody love it. Law himself looks just perfect, doesn't he? I mean, what's not to like about Law either on this one? Of course, he's got all the hand gestures like they did with Mutton Junkyard. He's got the handcuffs which slot into his belt. He's got like a little pouch on the back of his belt for the handcuffs. He's got the baton which slides into the loop on the belt. He's got an actual Uzi. He's got a little dagger which goes into his secondary, I think. Is it on his secondary or is it on his... No, the pistol goes on his secondary. And the dagger... Where does the dagger go, guys? Because the Uzi goes on his... his left thigh, or as you look at it on the right-hand side. Is there a piece, a dagger spot for the... on the belt? Or maybe it's on the back of the secondary? I don't know. I can't see anywhere else where it would go. The other thigh secondary looks like a generic one where they just kind of have like a little pouch or something that doesn't actually do anything, but it could be there that it slides in. Not sure, but anyway, he's got a little dagger anyway. Hopefully, it has somewhere to go. I genuinely can't see anywhere on the secondary from the front, and I can't see if it would be on the thighs either. Knife on leg, pistol on chest. You definitely think it's on the leg, right? Because he's got the pistol, but he's also got an Uzi. I just assume the Uzi goes in the thigh piece because the secondary is for the pistol, right? The left leg looks like a pistol holster with a knife on the right. Is Laura lefty? Not really. It's just how they stick them on there in it a lot of the time. Anyway. Looks great. He's also got what looks to be some other writing under MP. Probably just says military police, possibly. But there's definitely another element under MP. Bry, thanks for the super chat. Now we need a big lob, justice for the rawhides. Yes, we do. Absolutely. I am the law, says Jeff Butler. Yes, that's great. Thank you, Bry, as well for the super chat, mate. Really appreciate that. And yeah, I think I wonder if there's something going elsewhere, like on his body. We have said in the past, I have said it's probably elsewhere, and it has been. And I've also said that for like the snow serpent, and there was nowhere for the snow serpent to store his knife. Exactly, Ryan. Anyway, here we go. Law and Order. I love it. Absolutely love it. MPK9. Is that what it says underneath? His hand, yes, his pistol goes on his secondary. We know that. The Uzi goes in the other one. On the other side of his leg, it doesn't. It looks like a generic thing with like a pouch. I'm not sure if it's where the knife goes, but it could be. Absolutely could be. Yeah. Anyway, we'll find out eventually, won't we? The snow serpent stores his knife in the gut of a Joe, says King Ape. I actually store my knife just inside the secondary on his torso, just because I can't be bothered to have anything like not on the figure. Behind the back is a real good possibility as well. Yeah, like on the belt or on the secondary, I could see that too. And I hope so. Right then, that's everything. I think we've discussed those two in decent detail there. I am definitely... I think if they'd have had these during PulseCon and we'd had just 10 minutes more for them to actually discuss the product, get into it, and, do a little bit more, I genuinely think that would have been a better idea, honestly. Laura's missing the leash for Order. Maybe they didn't include it on the render. Or maybe it's just that same kind of thing where he holds the thing on the back of the neck. There's that little handle, I think, on there. you can just about make it out. So it's probably just a similar thing there, where he just holds on to him like on the back of his green thing. And plus, he's a good boy, so he doesn't have to leash him up. But yeah, interesting. There's no leash there. Interesting, and they do tend to put everything on there, so it's not coming with a leash. It would appear. So yeah, Mutton Junkyard, exactly the same thing, right? They just have the little handle on the back, so it's exactly the same vibe as Mutton Junkyard. Will Sandstorm be a retool of Order or a new smaller sculpt? If they do Sandstorm, I mean, it's definitely one they need to look at. Order needs the goggles for when he drives the car. Well, they tried it the other way, but it didn't work. Right, that's it. That's all the chat we have for today on the PulseCon stuff. We'll just do I'm just going to do a very brief run through this. Look, I've updated it. So Starduster is now green. Nemesis Immortal is the only one that's floating around at the moment before the end of the year. I'm sure we'll get it for like 1027 or NYCC or anything like that. I'm sure we'll see him at some point before the end of the year. Have no fear on that one. But look at all that lovely green. And 2025, we've got more green. So I've also added a couple of other elements in here just to kind of like, you know, find a counterbalance to not being able to just officially confirm things. You may see what I've done here. So we've got obviously Zandar, Saw Viper, Leatherneck, and Dialtone now all pre-ordered and out of the way. Green. And then, of course, the next wave of 4, Frag Viper, Blowtorch, Darklon in brackets. Yeah, Footloose is the next 4-figure wave. We'll be seeing that, I guess, early next year. That will be for like the February or March event they usually have at the beginning of the year. Of course, we have Heavy Duty and Law and Order. Of course, we've known about them for a while now, but they are now digital renders. They are real proof done. And yeah, that's great. Obviously, the Pilot and Claw, I changed that as well, just to kind of, you know, go with the flow. And what else? The Haslab. We know the Haslab Rattler is Dinosaur Neil, which is fun. I've also added there in brackets next to the question mark of Tommy, Firefighter. So again, yeah. And then of course you've got Cobra Viper, Dr. Mindbender, and Rock and Roll as retro figures. I imagine we'll see those retro figures before the end of the year. I imagine we'll see Heavy Duty and Law and Order before the end of the year, like as in a pre-order situation. The Claw has got to probably come out at some point. I could actually see them doing Heavy Duty and Law and Order at the start of 2025. Honestly, I could see them being pushed a little bit to that next year. So I don't necessarily intend to see them before the end of the year. Nemesis Immortal, yes. The Claw, probably yes. And I think that retro wave of the Viper, Mindbender, and Rock and Roll are probably, you know, high up there too. Anyway, that's that brief overview. I've changed this a little bit, and here we can talk a little bit about name-only reveals. So, of course, Footloose, Blowtorch, and Retro Rock and Roll are the only non-digital render Joe name-onlys we have at the moment. Frag Viper, Retro Dr. Mindbender, and Retro Cobra Vipers are on the Cobra side. And smack bang in the middle, I've thrown in Hunt for the Mass Device, which was the name-only reveal that B.M.A.K gave us during PulseCon, which is a theme more than a character, of course. So, with that said, my theory here is that this is going to be a theme change for Target. We don't know this for sure. It just feels like that is possibly what we're dealing with here. They've revealed things in the past on regular channels that, you know, that were Target related. So it doesn't necessarily, you know, kind of screw them up or anything if that is the case, or like, you know, tread on any toes necessarily. And it doesn't also necessarily mean that it could be a Target theme change. It could be a theme change that they incorporate into, not just a theme change, but it could just be something they incorporate into the line proper. And we could have figures that, you know, are from the Mass Device. Now that could be anything from, let's look at these things. You know, you're making good comments already, guys, in here at the moment. The Baroness, the pilot Baroness from the Haslab Rattler in blue and yellow, done, dusted, covered in mustard, has to happen. Snake Eyes and the bear, the polar bear, is a massive possibility when you think about what that is significant to. The fact we've had that bear claw sort of thing revealed at SDCC. This is to get us thinking. It's to get us speculating. It's to get us talking about this stuff. And I think that and that are somewhat connected. So I think that we're looking at something here where we're going to see characters, maybe, just off the top of my head, what we're talking about, like Flash. Who else is in the cover girl with blonde hair? Who else am I thinking? Someone mentioned it before. Oh, the snake armor is a good shout, Paul. Absolutely. Doesn't just have to be characters, could be vehicles and stuff. I don't think it would be a theme change for Walmart, because they've only had Night Force for a short period of time, really, in comparison to how long Target have had Tiger Force and Python Patrol. What else? No more Tiger Force and Python Patrol? Not necessarily, Eben. Did you think that for Marauders? Because, like, they never did that as a subline, obviously, but they have said in the past that they can do a Tiger Force figure in the main line. So I don't think it would be beyond the realms of possibility to say they're never going to do it again, or it's never going to happen again. They'll do a Tiger Force character. I mean, Lifeline, for goodness sake, has to be done at some point. Or Striker, says King Ape. Oh, yes, please. But like, there's loads of things in terms of, they could incorporate mass elements. That's totally true, Ryan, like they did in the 25th line. Yeah, indeed. But yeah, I think, and again, like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's changing Target's theme. It doesn't necessarily mean that. But I just think it could be a theme change. And I do think they're probably due for a theme change, personally. I'm not saying that I don't want to see Python Patrol and Tiger Force again. I do want to keep them coming. But at the same time, yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much where we are with that. And I don't know how that's going to kind of like be done or kind of executed, but maybe it's just maybe it isn't as obvious as a theme. Maybe it's just like, we're going to do some figures from that, and it's going to still be classified, and you're not going to have a logo or anything, but like, it's obviously very thematically, narrative driven, box art, dioramas and all that kind of stuff, product images. That's where they lean into the kind of mass device thing. I don't know. In any case, it's one to think about, isn't it? Anyway, digital renders I've updated, so it's Law and Order and Heavy Duty now with the Claw and Pilot, and of course Wild Weasel, Rattler Gunner, and Pilot Baroness, which I for some reason didn't have on there before, but they're kind of, it's done now, and I should probably take them off because we've pre-ordered it and it's sorted and it's going to be in hand in like 10 years time. But yeah, but the other three, we're still in that kind of don't have a pre-order yet, so I'll probably change that again by the end of the next episode. In any case, that's the end of the news. We're going to get stuck into some I'm going to get stuck into some shout outs. Let's do it. Have you tried Hoarder yet? No? Well, you need to. If you have a collection of things and want to create a fun and easy way of organising it and of course showing it off, then get involved. You can post items and build collections, and you can drop a status like getting a fun delivery or seeing some awesome related stuff on your travels. Build your collections with Hoarder. The app is free to download on Google Play and the App Store, so what are you waiting for? Get to hoarding. I just get images sent at the last minute, and thankfully I've got a picture here of Metalhead with his missiles and his missile launcher. Right, but what about the backpack, Jeremy? Anyway, thank you for sending me that image. But yeah, I want to see the missiles and all the missile launchers. Anyway, shout outs. Let's start with Pat. Of course, couldn't be with us today. He was basically had a rough night. He was going to be on, but it's, unfortunately that is the case. So we switched to a solo. Excuse me. So shout out to Pat and Phil of Articulated Points. And of course, don't forget to check out Articulated Points' latest episode regarding Eco Warriors with Chris Murray. So go check that out right this second. Link in the description. Well, not right this second. At least get it primed and ready for when I finish. Shout out as well. Actually, I've just realized from last week, I had to. I put a different image in because obviously, I wanted to shout out our beautiful Phoebe, who passed away a couple of weeks back. And I didn't obviously I didn't put the other image of Kate in, and I want to shout out Kate. Obviously, massive shout out to my wonderful wife Kate, and of course the family in the US and the UK. Of course, we love you very much, and we can't wait to see everybody as soon as possible. So massive shout out to everybody, and for all the support. We love you guys so much, and I love you all very much. And to Brian, of course, Brian Sauer, who does our wonderful graphics, and of course Assembly Required, which we're hoping to get to this year. Very excited about this. Now, it is in on the 8th and 9th of November. It's Destro and the Iron Grenadiers theme, and it is in Des Moines, Iowa, as I said before. Now, the dinner is sold out, but they are trying lots of different things at the moment. Let me just get the blurb up because I need to make sure I'm telling you the right things as it stands at this moment. It's only another 3 hours. Oh God, how did that happen? I scrolled down and then side scrolled by accident, and then it just started from the beginning again. Got to stop doing that. In terms of the dinner, I'll get there eventually. My goodness, I'm slow today, aren't I? There's a waiting list, basically, is what I'm getting at, I believe. If I can find the post, my goodness, how long ago was it? Okay. Yeah, so you can add your name to a wait list. Link is in the description for codenameiowa.com/dinner. And you can add your name to a wait list because they're trying to get more people in on the fun. So that is definitely going, that's still happening. So if you want to get involved and you missed out on the dinner, go do that. Also, Word Burglar is probably going to be performing, it sounds like he's been telling people, at AR, so that's very exciting. Cannot wait for that. Word Burglar, of course, massive shout out. He also has the War in Wardrobe couple of tracks out at the moment, which you can download on Bandcamp. Link in not the description, but on our Facebook and Twitter pages as well. So go check those out. Again, G.I. Joe related. And as you can see, the artwork's amazing by both Dave Howlett and Brian Sauer. Last time that was just an absolute mess trying to work out who did the artwork for that when they were both involved. So anyway, very excited for Word Burglar and the future there. Now, Battle Action Force, the Deluxe Treasure Editions are still available for pre-order. There's still a good deal on it as well. You can still get it for the 25% deal. So go and get all three of those bad boys now. Pre-order right this second, link in the description. And let's get that one to the point where we're going to get loads more in the future. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, thank you very much, guys, for joining me on today's episode. It's been an absolute burst. I will be back I'm not doing Let's Talk Classified Heavy Duty, unfortunately, because obviously it got released. And I'm also not doing Let's Talk Classified Law and Order because we've seen that now as well. I'm going to be looking to rejig how those episodes kind of get done in the future, but I just ran out of time, unfortunately. So going forward, I've got a Patreon Q&A tomorrow. So all our patrons, massive shout out to everyone that supports the show channel, all of you guys in the comments, and of course all our patrons. What else have I got coming? I think that's it. I think it's whatever news happens next week then, okay? I'll see you for whatever news happens next week. Have a great rest of your weekend. Hope you've had a good one with me today. Stay fresh cheese bags. And as always, after 3, 1, 2, 3... full force. Laters.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on X, formerly Twitter, @The Full Force, liking the Facebook page, facebook.com/The Full Force. We've also added a brand new Instagram, so check us out there as well, @The Full Force Podcast, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on any of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.